Mike Vick back with us. How do you not love Kevin Wildes? I mean, everyone does. Time to run the No Huddle talking Lamar Jackson. So, after the Ravens expressed some frustration this week, Mr. Met, that big hits on Lamar are not being penalized, head coach John Harbaugh was asked about it on Monday. Take a listen.
Do you think Lamar is at all treated differently, seeing as he's a running quarterback and, you know, somewhat like Cam Newton had in prior experiences or Michael Vick?
I think all the quarterbacks should be treated the same. You know, I don't think any quarterback should be judged any differently, you know, in terms of how they're protected. That's for sure.
I feel like if I put on extra padding and stuff like that, I'd be looking like a transformer or something. And I don't want to be slowed down. But I just feel, you know, we should be protected. All quarterbacks in the league, you know, not just myself. You know, everyone should be included with that, especially while we're in the pocket, our leg area and stuff like that, you know. That's it, man. But, you know, football is football. You know, guys get aggressive sometimes. Stuff happen. Probably don't mean it, you know, but I like the ref to throw the flag, though, like if they catch it.
All right, Mike, the reporter that referenced you in that question to Harbaugh, is this something you dealt with, and do you see the same thing happening to Lamar?
Yeah, I dealt with it when I was in Atlanta, and I dealt with it in Philadelphia, and I used to always go to Andy Reid, and I was always searching for answers but couldn't find one. I think the truth of the matter is this, you know, the refs get paid to do a job, and they're professionals, and it's just hard to try to distinguish if it's a late hit, if it was a hit that, you know, is within the guidelines, and it's never going to be definitive, I think. And, you know, the more you look at it, you know, I look at myself and Cam and Lamar, and we want those calls, but every quarterback in the league wants those calls, and sometimes they're hard to make. You might get one or two in a game that you can look at and say, okay, those were good calls, and like Lamar just referred to, these guys are playing aggressive, and they coming after the quarterback. That's what they're taught to do. That's never going to change. So if you get one or two calls within the game, you should be happy. Other than that, you're not going to get 5 or 6 calls. It's going to change the dynamic of the game. So you just got to go with the flow, play the quarterback position, and be tough in there. Be tough in the pocket.
Yeah, agree with all that, Mike, but Lamar is correct, or John Harbaugh is correct. Everyone should be officiated the same, and they're not. True story. Yeah. October of 2015, I was auditioning for a job with FS1, and the very first segment, the very first topic, was about Cam Newton getting hit late and getting hit often and not getting the calls. And I think anyone that watches football knows there is a direct correlation, or I guess an indirect correlation, between how often a quarterback runs and how often he's going to get any type of roughing the passer, late hit, unnecessary roughness penalty, and it is a direct line. So like Vick and Cam and Lamar get it less than any other quarterback, and it's not just when they're out running the ball like running backs. You look at, I know we joke about it, but Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, I still am not over how many times he got hit while he was a passer. We all know the statuesque quarterbacks, Tom Brady, those guys, always get these calls. I think it's just a psychological thing that referees and I think human beings have, which is people that you think are less likely to be able to protect themselves, you want to protect them for them. So I think quarterbacks that are athletic have, for as long as I've watched football, not gotten the benefit of these flags, and quarterbacks that never move always get the benefit of these flags. It's not how it should be, Broussard, but this isn't not a new issue. Kyler deals with it, by the way, Kyler Murray. If you've watched there have been at least 3 plays this year in Arizona where if Kyler was any other quarterback aside from maybe Lamar, I think it would have been flagged. But the refs almost, even when he's passing, look at him as a hybrid, like, well, you got to kind of let the defenders do a little extra, or else what are they going to do? Guy's so fast and so elusive. And so I just think this is on Lamar's. I don't think the NFL is going to change on this. They didn't change for Mike. They didn't change for Cam, even though they probably should, or they definitely should.
Well, Nick, I agree with you and Harbaugh. Inside the pocket, obviously all quarterbacks should be treated the same. And you're right. I mean, maybe they're trying, but there's something psychological there. where they're not giving these guys the benefit of the doubt inside the pocket. But once they're running, I mean, you've got to, Michael Vick and Cam Newton and Lamar Jackson, they're not sliding necessarily like the rest of these quarterbacks. And sometimes, I mean, they're juking you. And do they dip like, I'm not saying they're going to fake the slide because I know you can't do that, but you can just dip in a move. And a lot of quarterbacks, the defender would say, okay, he's going down. With guys that run it as well as the guys I mentioned, the defender can't afford to do that. So I do think they're going to take more hits because they're not known, or Lamar in this case, for sliding. And you have to let the defender do his best to bring them down. If Lamar starts sliding, I think it's a different thing. But you can't bank on Lamar sliding. If I'm a defender and he's running, the last thing I'm thinking he's about to do is slide. So I got to try to tee off on him and bring him down.
Well, I'm happy that Harbaugh is worried so much about Lamar's safety. And since he's not getting these calls, Jenna, perhaps don't call needless 5-yard runs to go after a record that no one cares about, despite Chris Broussard saying he's going to follow the record.
I knew that was coming.
Since he's not getting the calls, let's take that play out of our playbook. Let's not put our guy in unnecessary danger. So that would just be me.
Well, Mike, is that a legit record? I like the record, Mike. Is that legit? 100 yards?
About that one.
There it is. Mike Vick with me, Wild. You hear that?
Oh, we're staying here? Good. I want to ask Mike a question. I want to ask Mike a question here.
Not awkward at all.
But we moved on too quickly because I want to stay here just for a moment because, by the way, Trey Lance is going to deal with some of this as well. Mike, when you're watching games, not just when you were playing, doesn't it seem like even on the slides, the refs err on the side of, like, certain guys, if there is any contact on the slide, they throw the flag. And for the most athletic quarterbacks, when they do slide, which maybe isn't as often, and there's contact, it feels to me like it's officiated like the refs almost feel badly for the defenders. And the whole game is officiated protecting the offense. And then it feels like there's certain guys like, well, yeah, he was sliding and you did hit him, but man, that guy's so hard to bring down. I felt like you took a ton of those hits, even when you slid, that didn't get flagged. I know Lamar does, or is that just a figment of my imagination here?
Well, we're so blessed to be able to move within the pocket. We can slide, we can push up, we can move lateral in the pocket. We can do things that other quarterbacks can't do. So I think the refs kind of get caught up in watching us and the things that we do. And once we get hit, it's a shock to them. If we scramble and we outside the pocket and we slide and we still get hit, they looking at us like, yo, they just tough guys. This is what they do. Other guys, they like sitting ducks back there, and I think the referee have a little bit of empathy for them back there, or sympathy, and just kind of err on side of giving calls to those guys.
I totally agree. Yeah, they try to protect them. That's absolutely right.
Yeah. All right, now we're moving on. Talk some San Francisco 49ers. So rookie quarterback Trey Lance taking all the reps at Thursday's practice. Niners preparing to start the 3rd overall pick for the first time